Hello Reborn Mommies and Daddies, it's Emily from Dear Nursery. Today I'm here with little Miss Anastasia Auer. She just got all done, her painted hair is done, she's got her eyelashes rooted, her magnet is setting. You can tell I got her pacifier, my setting pacifier on right here to set her magnet. And I thought I would do a quick little assembly video. So as you can see, I've already got her body stuffed and weighted. She's got maybe about just under a pound of glass beads in her body. I don't like to weight the body too heavily because I like it to still have some squish and curl. I also went ahead and cut up one Baby Scent Wonder Wafer and evenly distributed that throughout the entire torso. So I'm actually going to start with her limbs. I'm going to set her body aside. Here are her legs. You can see they're all painted. She's got little tipped and glossed toenails with little half moons. Nice kind of blushy toes and knees. So I've already got a bag of ultra fine glass beads here that I started using. It's already snipped open at the corner. I'm going to go ahead and just start filling that. So I do like my limbs to be relatively heavy. That's part of the reason why I keep the body cavity relatively light, is once I add weight to the limbs, I don't want the whole thing to be kind of overly heavy and unnaturally heavy. So it's kind of a slow pour because I made the little snip quite small. But I'm going to fill her limbs up, I'd say between halfway and 3/4 of the way with glass beads. Now it's important to make sure you kind of stop when you think you're done and kind of shake it down, because some of the beads will not have fallen into kind of a little cavity within the foot. And I can already see it's gone down further just with a little shake. Just going to add a tiny bit more. The beads, when you're looking from the inside, I'd say they stop about here. So kind of just above the line of the knee. So this part is all hollow and squishy right now. So I've got my big bag of Polyfill over here. It's a really nice, soft, fluffy Polyfill. I like that it doesn't clump up into little clusters like some do. Just going to break it into smaller bits and just kind of push it down into the empty space. So I like to stuff them relatively full. Obviously you don't want to cram pack a ton of Polyfill in there, because then it just is too hard. You can damage the vinyl, but I also don't want it to be too squidgy. So that should probably do it. If you have to like force it into the cavity, it's too much. But if there's also a lot of empty space in the cavity, it's too little. So you can see it's just kind of right up to there. It's not overly stuffed. I'm just going to set this one down, do the other one, and attach both legs. Alright, so I'm going to see if I can best show you this. So here's the body. It's got full limbs. They're jointed. If these were 3/4 limbs, I would stuff this little section with a bit of padding, because you don't want it to just be hollow. But with these, it fits quite snug. There's really no room for any padding. So what I'm doing is I'm just setting the leg into the joint. You want to make sure that the zip tie, sometimes the zip tie can get caught down here under the base of the leg. You want to make sure it's in that little, I don't know, crevice in the limb. And just kind of, while holding it in place, start to pull it shut. Now because these are jointed, I don't have to worry about leaving any mobility in the leg, because it rotates here on the joint versus within the fabric, so I can pull it quite tight. Then what I'm going to do is, now I can do a couple different things. I can snip the zip tie all the way down and then just kind of tuck the little, the end of the zip tie in, or I can cut it, leave a little bit of length and tuck it in. For this particular one, I'm going to cut it all the way down because the fabric is quite spacious, and I can just kind of tuck that little pointy end in so it won't be in the way. I've got that last piece of zip tie over there I'm going to throw away. So I'm going to do the same on the other side. Set the leg into the joint. These are quite a tight fit. I got this body from Bountiful Baby, I believe. It's just a full limb, I think about a 20-inch body with joints, jointed limbs. Alright, so I've kind of worked that zip tie up so that again it's sitting in the little crevice. It's not sitting below the base of the limb. And I'm going to start to tighten it. I'm going to turn it this way so I can see what I'm doing better. Looks funny having the leg all backwards. Alright, same thing. I'm going to snip away from the fabric so you don't end up, accidentally slicing into the fabric with the tip of the scissors. And then tuck that little end into the extra fabric. Alright, and now the legs are on. Alright, so now let's do the arms. So again, I'm going to set the body aside. It's pretty much the same thing with the arms. The cavities are a tiny bit smaller, as are the openings. I'll probably need more than the rest of this bag. So I believe these bags are about a pound of weight each. Yeah, that sounds right. So in the legs, they are just under a pound between the two of them. So just under half a pound per leg. So I'm going to do the same things I did with the arms, shake it down. Yeah, when I first poured it in, the beads were stopping at about this height. Now that I've kind of shaken it down into the cavity, they're only at about the elbow. Just going to do a tiny bit more, probably actually just the very last bit of this bag. Because again, I want it to sit just above the joint. I don't like when the joints are too squishy. So yeah, the beads stop right about here. Set that bag aside, that'll be recycle now. Some more polyfill. There's not as much space to fill now as there were on the legs, so won't need very much. Oh, looks like I pulled just the right amount. Again, don't want to stuff it too full. Also don't want it to be too squishy, so there's one arm. So on to the arms. It's the same thing. Again, this is a jointed full limb body, so I don't need to worry about stuffing the cavities of the body, although part of me wants to. No, that would just be too fluffy. Give her linebacker shoulders, so I'm not going to. I also don't need to worry about keeping any mobility because again, it's jointed. See, that's sticking up. Same thing on this side. Gotta get that zip tie started. Alright, there it goes. Pull it nice and tight. You don't want to do it too tight. You don't want to be just like absolutely crushing the vinyl and damaging it. Cut off this extra bit. Ooh, that's a little too long. I don't want any long pokey bits sticking out. Again, being careful not to cut the fabric or scratch the vinyl. Tuck that extra piece in. Same on this side. A little long, or is that okay? Let's go. Let's make sure it's not too long. There. Tuck that into the fabric. Perfect. So now she's got her arms and her legs. Oh, she feels really nice and floppy. I love the weight of her limbs. I love that you can feel the weight in her tummy, but her body's still nice and squishy. Oh, she feels really good. Alright, so now we're going to do the head. All this is still setting her magnet, the glue on her eyelashes. I'd say they're pretty well set at this point. So I think we can go ahead and add the weight without risking shifting anything around. So what I'm going to do for the head, it's the same I've done for the body. Taking one of these little, I think it's a either an anklet or a knee-high pair of pantyhose. I buy these in sets. They're inexpensive, and what I like about this size is that it's quite a thickly woven nylon, so tiny little beads don't escape in any gaps. So I'm just filling this up, kind of like you're filling a water balloon from the sink. Just letting it kind of slowly fill up. There we go, you can see it starting to fill. And again, I don't want the head to be too floppy or too unrealistically heavy, but I want it to have some good weight to it. So I'd say that's good. That's maybe 1/3 pound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist it quite a few times and then double it back over onto itself. Don't want to risk any beads coming out and being loose in the head cavity. And just tie a little knot, so that's what's going to weight the head. Going to grab a little bit of stuffing, just a smidge, and tuck that into the back of the head, because I don't want this to rest right at the very back. Then what I'm going to do is kind of gently push this through. It's too large to go in all at once, so I just kind of let the beads sink into the inside. Tuck it in. And then I want to try and shift it so that it's sitting more towards the back of the crown of the head. So yeah, I hold it this way so that I can feel that it's sitting right about there. Then what I'm going to do is grab more Polyfill and start stuffing that in. Again, doing it gently, not adding too much. We don't want to damage the vinyl. We don't want to stuff it super full, but we also don't want a super squishy head. I can add just a tiny more, I'd say. Now that we've got the head stuffed and weighted, we're going to do the same thing. Tuck all this stuffing down. You don't want any to stick out accidentally. Just gently, slowly start to tighten the zip tie. Now, unlike the limbs, we do have to consider the mobility of the neck. We want it to still turn. We also don't want it to fall out. I'm going to try just one notch tighter. That's pretty good. If you lean it to the side, there should be no gapping. It shouldn't look like the head will fall out. But if you pull it too tight, the head will not be able to turn. I'm going to go ahead and clip this all the way down. If you leave any extra length, there's a chance that it could get accidentally tugged on, and it would tighten it too much to where the head can't rotate, and tuck that into the fabric. Here she is, everyone. Here is Miss Anastasia Auer. She belongs to a sweet mommy on Instagram. She's all done and assembled. She's nice and heavy and floppy. I like to just kind of sit with her for a few days to see how I feel about her weight and her floppiness, and if there's anything I'm not 100% happy with, I will go in and readjust so that I feel like she's the perfect weight by the time I send her home. I'd say she feels like she weighs more like 4 pounds. I did go ahead and put quite a bit of weighting into her limbs, and because they're relatively chunky for her size, there was a lot of space to fill with beads. Oh, I love the way she feels. I love the way she poses so naturally. I'll probably do a dressing video with her later. But here she is for now, Miss Anastasia. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.